06221 576827.
Hospital. Volunteers from the United States are filling the gap to treat wounded soldiers from Iraq and Afghanistan. AFN correspondent Michelle Michael reports from Landstuhl Regional Medical Center in Germany.
Dr. Kuntz.
The phone hasn't stopped ringing since Dr. Douglas Kuntz got here 2 weeks ago.
So we're going to get an EEG.
Kuntz is a neurosurgeon from Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's volunteering his medical skills in Germany. He's filling a large void at Landstuhl Regional Medical Center because there is not a full-time neurosurgeon on staff. But because of conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan, the need is near critical.
So the need is that there are some very critically ill patients that have multiple injuries, but they also have neurosurgical injuries that a lot of times the trauma surgeons don't feel that comfortable dealing with.
The trauma surgeons in the field see patients immediately after a war injury. But sometimes they're still critical when they get to Dr. Kuntz. Most of his patients are victims of improvised explosive devices.
Some of the things that they're doing as far as these improvised explosive devices are just really bad, savage, I would say.
He showed us an X-ray after a roadside bomb. Part of the explosive still lodged in the brain.
Like lead or like steel, part of a bullet, part of just some debris that they put into these IEDs. The people that make those explosives put rocks and broken glass and nails and tacks and anything that will expand and hurt.
While attacks downrange continue, the need for doctors like Kuntz goes up drastically, and the list of volunteers continues to grow too. But Dr. Kuntz says the job isn't easy, even for a brain surgeon.
It's difficult. It's healthy young men that are giving their all for the country and for the cause, and it is tough to see these kind of injuries.
Michelle Michael, AFN News, Landstuhl.
Dr. Kuntz is the second volunteer to come from the U.S. When his time is up in Germany, there's another stateside neurosurgeon in line to come in his place. Elsewhere in Europe today, Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice says NATO should not be seen as the world's policeman. Rice is meeting with Secretary General of the Military Alliance today in Belgium as she nears the end of a week-long trip through Europe and the Middle East. Rice's talks today are also expected to review peacekeeping missions in Afghanistan and Kosovo and NATO's efforts to train Iraq's military. Rice says NATO can push for freedom and liberty without having to be the world's policeman. She says she thinks that would be asking too much of the alliance. She says Iran may face UN Security Council sanctions if it doesn't pull back from efforts to build nuclear weapons. Making headlines today in the war on terror. A military statement said one U.S. soldier died of a gunshot wound at logistical support area Anaconda in Balad, north of Baghdad yesterday. Soldiers from 2nd Brigade Combat Team, 10th Mountain Division, stopped a vehicle they thought was suspicious yesterday evening. When they searched the vehicle, inside the trunk, the soldiers found 2 blindfolded and bound men. The men were 2 of the 4 Egyptian kidnap victims taken captive on Monday. When the vehicle first stopped, the 3 occupants fled the scene on foot. The soldiers ran after them, catching 2. According to an Iraqi official, gunmen killed Abdul Hussein al-Basri, correspondent for Al-Hurra, and his son in the Makal area of Basra, 340 miles southeast of Baghdad. Launched in February 2004, Al-Hurra, or The Free, was a network for Arab audiences tailored to compete with other regional stations like Al Jazeera and Al Arabiya. 1st Infantry Division soldiers leaving Iraq still have to go through customs, just as they would leaving any other foreign country. Specialist Christina Bierman brings us step by step through the task redeploying soldiers face before flying home.
The long wait is over for these first ID soldiers behind me, whose mission in Iraq for the past year has ranged from intelligence gathering to logistical support. As they get ready to board the plane and go home back to Germany, there's just a few more things left to do.
Before they enter IAO, they go through a prohibited items briefing as well as the authorized items briefing. Once they do that, they enter through the door to my left over there. Once they've come through, they get an amnesty period. No chance to empty out anything they might have accumulated throughout the deployment illegally. Once they go through that process, they stage inside of our tent. Once inside, they open and empty all their baggage that they are taking on the aircraft with them. Once they process that, they come outside and they'll palletize their items and they'll be finished through and just await the arrival of the airplane.
And then it's on to the plane. After the soldiers arrive home, they'll begin a 7-day reintegration process, and then they'll be released for 30 days of block leave. Reporting from Forward Operations operating base biker in Street Rock. Specialist Christina Bierman, AFN News.
As their comrades are preparing to go home in Samarra, Iraq, 1st Infantry Division soldiers are still battling insurgents daily. The bullets still ring out. The Bradleys still roll through the streets, and the troops still aim for victory. When they do leave, their mission to secure the city of Samarra will continue, and it's no easy task to protect a city where insurgents could be behind the next door you bust down. Bravo Company 126th Infantry soldiers say there are a few essentials to a successful mission here, like team member communication. That's the first key to keeping the citizens of this city safe.
Communication is probably besides effective fire is one of the most important things we have out here, because everybody, we're all working together, and we have standard operating procedures on how we talk to each other.
Sergeant Baggett says the team's confidence in the way they talk and listen to one another when the rounds are ringing in their ears and when their hearts are beating like crazy helps them move, shoot, and keep the peace in Samarra. And even more important is the way they communicate when the streets are calm. After 32 years in the military and several more since in government service, General Barry McCaffrey has an optimistic outlook for the war on terror. The retired general spoke to troops with the Southern European Task Force preparing to deploy to Afghanistan. He says the Army has never been stronger.
Well, you know, it's interesting to me, though, to see the current Army leadership, the platoon sergeants, squad leaders, company commanders, the enormous experience they've got. Many of them are on their second combat tour or more. They've been through this extraordinary training system we've got. Leadership of the Army has never been stronger. Thank God there's a lot being asked of them.
McCaffrey says that in addition to experience and technology, the cause itself makes a stronger military because it's something that hits so close to home.
Well, I think one of the things I'm always happy to do after 4 combat tours and 32 years in uniforms, come back and look at this Army and tell the leadership how good they are. Sometimes they lose track of that. This is the toughest Army we ever fielded, with better technology and equipment, with more experienced leadership, and with a mission that's enormous importance to the American people. 290 million of us were under attack. This small Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force team is out there in the frontiers trying to stop terrorism before it strikes America.
After speaking to the troops and the leadership of CTAF, McCaffrey says he's confident that the mission in Afghanistan will be a successful one.
These people are ready to go. Probably 60% of this force has seen combat operations in Iraq, Afghanistan, or elsewhere, the Balkans, peacekeeping, so it's a very experienced force. The logistics are in place. Thank God for the United States Air Force and Navy. That movement plan for both equipment and people is well thought out, and there's been a great deal of coordination with the team on the ground today in Afghanistan. So it looks to me like a continuation of what has been a remarkably successful operation in Afghanistan.
In addition to his time in the military, the general served as the drug czar for former President Bill Clinton. As the U.S. works at rebuilding a country amidst insurgent attacks and attempts to stop the rebuilding, the media are eager to catch every detail. Air Force Sergeant Joe Bellon walks us through how journalists get certified to report downrange.
Elections amid continuing fighting in Iraq brings big interest, and with it, world media. But the dangers of a war zone require extra security for both our forces and these reporters. That's where the CPIC's media credentialing team comes in.
Credentialing, in a nutshell, is basically the media check in with us, come into country into Baghdad in Iraq, and they come in and check in with us, and it's making sure they work for the newspaper that they're working for, they have a letter from their editor saying they're allowed to be here. And what we do is we issue them a badge that basically lets everyone in this nation, as far as military and civilian authorities, know that they are working for a legitimate press organization and they're authorized by us to be here.
Good. A credentialing system makes it harder for enemy fighters to blend into their surroundings by posing as reporters. Likewise, it helps reporters who aren't recognized by U.S. forces avoid unnecessary detention during heated operations. But this said, these badges shouldn't be taken for more than what they are.
It really is not carte blanche They'll walk around anywhere they want to go, but it helps make their job easier whenever they want to come and interview someone. As a reporter coming off the street with no type of CPIC badge, they can be stopped and turned around, not allowed in.
Although credentialed media can be regarded as legitimate members of the press, service members should still keep in mind local public affairs guidance while answering any questions. Staff Sergeant Joe Boulan, AFN News, Baghdad, Iraq.
Well, there is still so much more to come tonight, so don't go away. Fifth Corps cares about your safety at home and at work. We'll tell you all about their new program. And a look at U.S. Marines celebrating a little-known piece of their history. Stay tuned. The AFN Evening News continues after this. Real people, real news.
During World War II, lived in.
Out of the last 2 years, been deployed for about 18 months, so really looking forward to getting there.
There's a PX and there's a cafeteria where they can have something to eat.
Here at the airport, we're going to try to get some sleep.
Drink some coffee, try to stay awake.
USARA senior leaders want to know how we can improve programs related to family readiness and deployments. We need your input. Click on the FRG feedback link on the USARA homepage and tell us what you think.
In 56 countries, across 5 time zones, you're watching the award-winning AFN Evening News. Real people, real news.
U.S. Marines from Stuttgart, Germany spent the weekend in Derry, Northern Ireland, to learn more about the legacy of the Marine Corps. Army Sergeant Brian Ellison was there as these Marines experience the lessons of history.
This monument pays tribute to the Marines who served there during World War II. From 1942 to 1944, 3 Marines in the area lost their lives. The mission at the time, to guard the port and a weapons depot. Marine Sergeant John Kramer says the wreath-laying ceremony means more to him than just that.
And it goes back a long time, and that reason is just that we want peace in the world. There's nobody that wants peace more than the troops that are out here. And the happiest day I'll have is when they say, okay, you're fired because we don't need a military. There's no reason for a military to exist. And that'll be the happiest day I have.
The Mar IV Europe Marines stayed in the same hotel that Marine officers during World War II lived in while stationed in Derry. Reporting from Derry, Northern Ireland, Army Sergeant Brian Ellison, AFN News.
Beautiful music. And a little more than a week ago, Iraqis had, for the first time in a generation, the chance to vote freely. The towns of Balad, Issaquah, and Yatrib had some help from soldiers of the 1st Battalion, 77th Armored Regiment, in making Election Day a success. Army Sergeant Teresa Cole brings us more.
Over 200 years after America signed the Declaration of Independence and became a free country, it used the power of democracy to help another country write a new chapter in their own history books. January 30th, 2005 will be remembered by Iraqis as the first time that their voice was allowed to be heard. They were given the chance to vote. With coalition forces training Iraqis over the past 2 years for an event like this, they were able to shoulder the main responsibility of the elections with minimal help from American troops. A 3-tier security plan was in force on Election Day. At the first level, Iraqi Army and police services were at each of the polling sites. Larger groups of each force were stationed just a short distance away, providing the second level of security. American Quick Reaction Forces roamed the streets, serving as the final layer of protection. In just the towns of Balad, Issaquah, and Yathrib, over 30,000 Iraqis turned out to cast their vote for their Congress of choice. Each Iraqi that voted dipped their hand in a bottle of ink, which not only served as a deterrent from voting multiple times, but also as a symbol of pride, signifying their participation in Iraq's first free election.
People when walking around, you see them with the ink on their finger. It's kind of a badge of honor, you know. Everybody knows they voted.
I voted today, and I feel proud about that. There was a warm spot in my mind. It's Iraq. That warm spot is keep me work, and will give me more and more energy.
Until all of the ballots are tallied and a national Congress is chosen, locals will wait with the satisfaction of knowing that their vote counted towards shaping the future of a free Iraq. Reporting from Forward Operating Base Palawada, I'm Army Sergeant Teresa Coble, 1st Infantry Division, Task Force Danger.
While Americans were present to support and secure the process of free elections in Iraq last week, they were mere bystanders to history, making sure Iraqis had the information needed to practice their new freedom. Specialist Amanda Lakovic has more.
A team of 9 soldiers from Bravo Company 126 Infantry spent the afternoon trying to increase the voter awareness among the citizens of Samara. Squad Leader Staff Sergeant Stefan Sturkey tells us more.
Today, our job was to go out and pass out flyers for the local mosques so that they can do the message to the people. Our company commander wrote it up in English, and then our one interpreter wrote them out in Arabic so that they could understand, because it's different dialects everywhere.
Not only have these men gone above and beyond to secure and stabilize the city of Samara, they have helped firsthand in shaping the future of Iraq. Reporting from Samara, Iraq, I'm Specialist Amanda Lakovic, 1st Infantry Division, Task Force Danger.
Most any troop who has spent a year in Iraq will tell you there is no better feeling than coming home and falling into the arms of the ones you love. Army Sergeant Nick Tovo takes us to Mannheim, Germany, where some roughnecks got a smooth landing.
After 13 months and hundreds of missions in Iraq, the roughnecks of the 512th Maintenance Company rolled into Mannheim, Germany to a heartfelt welcome.
I'm so glad you're back. I missed you.
Along with the hugs, kisses, and tears goes a sense of accomplishment. The roughnecks' job downrange, fix it if it's broke, to make sure vehicles stay up and running. They also manned weapons, guarding convoys to move soldiers safely.
No mission failed. We achieved success in all the tasks that were given to us, and it's good to be home.
And every troop made it home. Most everyone in the 512th will tell you their greatest success is not losing one soldier during the year downrange.
I attribute that to the outstanding leadership from the squad leader on up. They took care of soldiers, they did the right things to train soldiers, and the result of that is we brought them all home.
Home to loved ones who spent a year waiting, hoping, and praying.
I'm very proud of him. He's definitely a strong man to have to deal with all that he's putting up with. He's definitely a very hard soldier.
And it was a hard year for the 512th, who now go about the business of adjusting to life on the home front.
Hi, Daddy!
After a year in the Badlands of Iraq, for many of these roughnecks, that's bound to seem like smooth sailing. In Mannheim, Germany, Army Sergeant Nick Tovo, AFN News.
Well, just love a happy ending. Well, this is going to be a strange sight, but you could see high tank traffic and Bradley fighting vehicles in some of Germany's quietest towns starting today. Soldiers from the 1st Armored Division are training throughout the state of Hessen. Troops are practicing tactical convoys as part of Exercise Ready Crucible. It's designed to test a unit's ability to travel. The exercise is expected to last through mid-March. Some of our affiliates will take a break now for local programming, but don't go away, because when we come back, a flu outbreak in Europe has kept a religious leader from his traditional Lenten post today. And soldiers overseas are still at risk for the disease, but it's not too late to avoid contracting the big bug. Find out how you can protect yourself. You're watching the AFN Evening News.
Looking to get more out of your tour of Europe? Visit the dutyeurope.navy.mil website. You'll get answers about living in Europe. Plus, it has something for the traveler: site destinations, driving directions, and toll charges. Enjoy your time in Europe and let dutyeurope.navy.mil be your guide.
Well, thanks for staying with us tonight. As soldiers return from long deployments, accidental deaths and injuries among troops are on the rise, and the 5th Corps Safety Office has a new program to tackle that problem. It's called CARE, for the Corps Accident Reduction Emphasis. CARE has a lofty goal: reduce accidents by the end of this year up to 50%.
It's a program that's not going to be effective unless the individual soldiers hold on to the CARE concept. And the biggest thing on the CARE concept is focus on standards at the units, making sure that the soldiers down at the lowest level know the standards and accountability for the standards.
Roundtable discussions with soldiers focus on everything from POV to combat vehicle safety and pre-deployment and deployment safety. The fourth phase continues with more talks to soldiers about better ways to avoid injuries downrange. For the first time in 26 years, Pope John Paul has had to miss the Ash Wednesday services at the Vatican. He remains in a hospital in Rome recovering from breathing difficulties caused by a bout of the flu. An American cardinal is presiding in his name today. As Italy experiences a surge in flu cases, overseas medical officials say there's still time to get the shot and avoid the potentially deadly disease yourself. Specialist Kevin Allen tells us how you can remain flu-free.
Earlier this year, a bad batch of the flu vaccine and subsequent shortages sent a panic through the medical community.
The batch that they were counting on for a large portion of the flu vaccine, it didn't pass their quality control.
October and November are the best months to get a flu shot, but it's still not too late.
It peaks somewhere about January or February, so it's not too late now to get the flu shot.
Anyone in a high-risk group can get the shot.
Adults over the age of 50, people with chronic medical conditions like diabetes, asthma, that type of thing, those people should get the flu shot.
And flu shots are available to all active duty military members upon request. From the Vilsec Health Clinic, Specialist Kevin Allen, AFN News.
Well, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, stopping the spread of the flu can be as simple as washing your hands before meals, covering your mouth when you cough, disinfecting commonly used items such as phones and light switches, and eating a well-balanced diet. Lawnceville Elementary students had a chance to learn exactly what an apple a day can do for your body. Airman Peter Mellon reports on what the students found out about the foods they eat.
This is one serving. The Lawnceville fourth graders learned serving sizes and serving suggestions. The kids passed around pretend food servings to get an idea of how much food they should eat every day. The kids also found out what foods are made of and their nutrition. The class learned about healthy eating choices from a registered dietitian.
The most important thing, of course, is breakfast. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and children do need to learn to eat that, and they have to eat a healthier sort of breakfast, such as whole grains, oatmeal, fresh fruit. That's much better for them than picking up either a Pop-Tart or a croissant or something that's like a sugar-coated cereal.
Proper portions and good food selection is important to a healthy diet.
We've become a supersized kind of society, and that's why we need to learn to bring down our portions. Plus, we're trying to teach nutrient-dense foods, not calorically dense foods, and that is very important that the food that we do take in now is of the highest quality.
Hopefully some kids will take home what they've learned for good food and healthy living. Reporting from Lawnceville, Germany, I'm Airman Peter Mellon, AFN News.
Eat your veggies, kids. Well, it's time again for some of our affiliates to switch to local programming, but when we come back, imagine going to the commissary without your checkbook or your wallet and still walking out with carts full of groceries. See how one lucky soldier did just that. We'll return with more Real People, Real News in just a moment.
Whether you're stationed at a large military installation like USAFE headquarters at Ramstein, Germany, or at a base like Lodges Field, the Azores, wellness, morale, and safety are equally important. Combat Wingman ensures we're looking out for our most valuable resource, our people. Like Senior Airman Kurt Luger here, who adopted me on the flight line when I needed his help. In fact, here's the Combat Wingman card he gave me. Airmen taking care of airmen. That's what Combat Wingman is all about.
Thanks for staying with us tonight. The New England Patriots have a lot of fans in Vegas and all the way in Iraq. Way back in Vegas, the bookmakers make up their largest fan base. Why? Well, it doesn't take a mathematician to tell you why. But for the second straight year in a row, the Pats won the Super Bowl, but not by enough to cover the point spread. According to figures from the State Gaming Control Board, the sports books won a record $15.4 million on the big game, thanks to Boston's own. Soldiers in Iraq were rooting for their favorite team, but it was all in fun. The bookies didn't make a dime downrange.
I want Philadelphia to win, but I kind of think New England's going to take it.
Let's say New England 27, Eagles 14.
Well, all this patriotism has this football lover committed to serving his country.
I've been here in Iraq a year, and we're getting ready to go back. And, I just re-enlisted for 3 years.
It's pretty crazy. A football game got somebody to re-enlist. Hey, it takes anything, won't it? Well, there was another big winner to come out of the Super Bowl besides the Patriots. A soldier in Baumholder, Germany won carts full of game day goodies. Airman Lana Mills hits the aisles for the commissary's grand giveaway.
An average weekly stop for a family at the commissary can put a dent in your wallet. But Staff Sergeant Joffre didn't seem to worry about the cost of his groceries. He spent over $1,000 shopping for household goods in preparation for a Super Bowl party. This supermarket sweep didn't come out of his paycheck.
In the States, I'm sure you remember that there are certain promotions that go on in regular grocery stores and in commissaries alike. Things are just a little bit different over here as far as advertising goes, and some of the advertising money that might be spent on ads in the States is spent on things like shopping sprees in Europe.
Shopping spree winner Staff Sergeant Stephen Joffre tells us what he's going to do with his winnings.
Gives me a good chance to have some of the patrolmen that I work with, because the MPs that are working for us right now are all National Guard from the States. So I figure I'll have some of them over for Super Bowl Sunday, and we'll enjoy some of the stuff I get today.
The only drawback, instead of the usual hour or two, he only had 3 minutes to grab everything he wanted. He rushed through the commissary as military staff, friends, and family cheered him on. When his 3 minutes were up, he caught his breath while everyone waited to see what the damage was. $1,018.72 was the total. Staff Sergeant Joffre loaded up his groceries and was ready to start working on his Super Bowl feast. Reporting from Baumholder, Germany, I'm Airman Lim.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for us here tonight. Have a great evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.